tonight we're going to talk a little bit about exploring ways to communicate with the divine, exploring ways to communicate with Source, and what that means. And so first I thought, well, you know, here's the professor, the professor in me that says, okay, so what does the word communicate mean, right? So what is communication? It's a process of receiving and giving messages from the sender, and the sender sends a message and the receiver receives the message. So it's about messages, and it's about there being kind of like two parties, if you will, the sender and the receiver. At any given time, the sender can still be the receiver, and the receiver can be the sender, you know what I mean, right? Mm-hmm. So then I thought, communication with the divine, or communication with the one source, or divine intelligence, God, for lack of a better word, Goddess, all that is. This communication is sort of really needed for a relationship. Like when we have a relationship, one with another, communication is key, right? Mm-hmm. And communication is key to intimacy, right? I mean, we communicate with each other all the time. Some of us through Facebook, some of us through text messages, some of us through email. And our communication these days gets smaller and smaller and quicker, and we don't have time, and we can't even spell out the word Y-O-U. Right? It's you in our text message. Quick and easy, in and out. But to nurture a relationship, one with another, communication is key. And more than that, intimacy is key. You know, today my beloved partner had come home from a long day at work, and we were talking, and then all of a sudden, the phone rang, and I picked it up, and it was my mother. Hi, Mom. And I heard her feelings. I heard Chris's feelings, because she was talking to me. She was in the middle of having communication with me, right, and having intimacy with me. Yes. And I got distracted. And I was talking to somebody else who I also love and adore. That's not the point. The point was the communication had been hampered. And I wasn't really being a good listener, so I wasn't being a good receiver, because she was actually sending a message to me, and I wasn't quite listening. I was distracted. And it doesn't matter. I mean, it's wonderful that it was my mother. At least, thank God, it was my mother and it wasn't somebody else. But still, bottom line is that for there to be communication and for there to be nurturing of a relationship, it's really important to be present. To be present, to give that time, to take that time, to sort of be disciplined. See, I wasn't disciplined today. I was like distracted, easily distracted, like a child, you know, with a rattle. It's like, oh, what is that? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. You were talking to me? You know? So it takes discipline to communicate in a relationship. It takes discipline to be intimate. You have to be vigilant. You have to nurture it. So in the context of communication with the divine and exploring pathways to the divine, and how do we connect, and how do we become intimate with the divine? I guess first it's kind of important, and I was thinking about this. Okay, so what is the divine? What does that mean? You know, like when I grew up in a Catholic home. So my foundation was Catholic. And we believed God is almighty, and God is there, and I am here. And I kind of pray to God, right? I pray to God, or ask God for stuff, or if I'm really good, God will give me stuff, maybe. But it's this dualistic notion. And that's not to say that that's not right or correct, That's a belief. But there's also a belief of non-duality. That the divine is not really separate from me. So if the divine is not separate from me, and the divine is not just in me, but that I'm in the divine, right? So, because I'm always like thinking, okay, where's the soul? Is the soul in here? Is the soul in between my eyebrows? Is the soul behind me? Where is the divine? The divine in me. You know, the divine in me recognizes and honors the divine in you. So where is that divine? Where is it? Is it in somewhere inside me? I am in the divine. So there's nowhere that the divine is not, is the point. The divine is in and of everything. This absolute divine intelligence, this one source. So if that's true, see, this is the scientist, right? So if that's true, then how do I communicate with that? See, if there's really no this and that, how do I communicate with it? So to make it a little easy, because, you know, we have these little brains. Yes, we haven't used all of our potential, it's true, but our little brains cannot grasp the magnificence of this divine. The Tao talks about, the Tao Te Ching talks about, if you think you understand, you've lost it.
Right.
Don't try to understand it. Just try to experience it. I think like we all kind of know when we experience the divine. When we're aware, when that aperture is open, we kind of know it. Sometimes I see it in my dog's eye. Today Shanti, our little Jack Russell, was floating on a floaty, on a noodle in the pool, and like leaning her little paws on this like floaty. And she was kind of balancing herself just really sweetly, and she was just like in bliss. She was in bliss. And it gave me this feeling, and I think that's a glimpse of communication with the divine. And there's thousands of stories like that we all have, of when we really connect with that which is the divine, and all that is the divine. So to make it easy for myself, because I have a little brain, and I'm not that smart. I suffer from I-know-itis. I'm not that smart. Or maybe I'm too analytical, but anyway, to keep it simple, let's say, supposedly, there is a higher self in us, a witness. This, you know, this entity, this thing, this being, this energy, whatever this is, this divine intelligence that sort of watches me. Like when I'm asleep, right? When I'm asleep and totally in deep sleep, I've not died. My higher self is kind of like off to the side, kind of watching. When I'm in meditation, when I go within, it's not my mind, it's the higher self that's sort of this witness. So what if this communication thing, this communication with the divine, this intimacy with the divine, was about the smaller self, the little grace. You know, in this embodiment, that's who I am. In this embodiment. For those of us who believe in other lives and reincarnation, and we know that there are many, many other embodiments. In this embodiment, my name is Grace. So what if the little Grace was kind of asking for guidance from the higher self? Some people might not dig that, so some people might understand it differently, and they might understand it like, I am asking for guidance from God. That works too. Everybody speaks a different language. I'm an interfaith minister, you know, and so my thing, my gig is, and my philosophy is that there is one truth, and it comes in different languages, with different symbols, with different dictionaries. But there's one truth. And a lot of us who are of like minds believe that there's one source, this divine intelligence. The Hindus in Sanskrit say Sat Chit Ananda. Sat, which is existence. This energy that has always existed. Never was born, never's gonna die, always is. Sat. Chit, knowledge. Not this kind of knowledge I just pointed to my head. Not this kind of knowledge, but divine intelligence. The knowledge and the intelligence that gets the planet to spin on its axis around the sun. And none of us fall off. The divine intelligence that operates our systems, all of the systems within our bodies, that pumps my blood right now. I'm not doing that. That's a divine intelligence that's doing that, because I'm not willing that to happen. And we can go on and on. The scientists can tell us the divine intelligence and where it exists and how it exists, and it's mind-blowing. And Ananda, bliss. Not joy that, you know, comes in things, in people. We all have joy when we see each other. When you walk through the door and I see you, get excited. Happy to see you. I love you. I love seeing you. But that's not the joy. That's not the bliss of the divine. That's just a glimpse of it. Because that's kind of like in the jacket of humanness. Because we're going to disappoint. We're going to disappoint each other. There's going to be a Friday, the last Friday of the month, that you're not going to come. And I'm going to be annoying. I'm going to be disappointed. You're going to disappoint me. Things are going to change. We change. Everything's changing. I'm going to die. You're going to die. But there's something that's never going to die, and that's the energy. That's the one source. That's the divine nature that is and always will be. So that being said, in a practical realm, how can I increase, enhance the intimacy with the divine? How can I communicate with the divine? I'm going to share with you a couple of things that worked for me, and then I'm going to open it up to you to share with us what you think, what you do. You know, we're really talking about developing a practice, developing a spiritual practice. Some of us have one already. Some of us are starting to become introduced to one. Some of us have been thinking about one, but don't know how to start. So the first thing I was thinking of is, in terms of communication, is me sending the message to the divine. The smaller self, the ego self, the human self, communicating and sending the message to the one source. So how do we do that? Some people do it through prayer. Formal prayer. They read a prayer. And whether you are Muslim, or Hindu, or Catholic, or Jewish, or Sikh, so many different faith practices, so many different belief systems. We did one just now, a Muslim prayer, which is part of the Shahada, right? There is no God but God. It's just one part of a bigger prayer. Hail Mary, Our Father. Blessing over the bread that's said at every Sabbath service. Whatever it is, this. There's formal prayers, there's informal prayers. I do this thing called japa every day. And here's a word, religiously. I do it every day. My guru gave me a mantra, and I say it every day, pretty much without fail for 2 years, every single day. It's 108 beads. These are prayer beads, mala beads. Buddhists use them, Hindus use them, Muslims use them. Catholics use them. They're called rosary beads.
Wow.
You see? One truth, it's about vibration. Doesn't even matter what you're saying. It almost doesn't even matter what your words are. I'm saying something in Sanskrit. Om soham ham saha paramam saha paramatma chinmayo ham sachtananda swarapu ham soham ham soham. What does that mean? It means I am that, basically. It means I am that. What is that? Not I am all that. I am that. I am that. I am that. I am the divine. I am the divine. I am divine. I'm not this body. I am divine. I say that 108 times. It's about a vibration. It's about setting an intention. It's about an awareness and an acknowledgement that this lower self, or smaller self, or ego self, seeks intimacy with the divine. Another thing is chanting, kirtan. Love that. Drumming. Salah taught us the Sufi dance. So beautiful and so intimate and so connecting. And the Sufis whirl. So there's all these different ways of worship. Some people call it worship, but it's all about invoking the divine. It's all about raising a vibration. It's all about an awareness. It's all about an acknowledgement. And sometimes I really, even though I believe in non-duality, even though I believe that, sometimes my Catholic little child just wants to say, oh, could you please help me with this one? Just this one time, you know. And this is, well, so what? It's about an invoking and an awareness that I am not this body and I might need some help. I might need some help from some guidance, from some guides, from some spirit guides. We did one day Aho. You know, we did this Cherokee morning song, I am of the Great Spirit, acknowledging all of the directions and above and below and within. Nature. Acknowledging nature. Chris placed on the altar here, Gaia, Mother Earth. Today is the blue moon. Tonight is the blue moon. To communicate with the divine, to just go sit outside and just watch the moon. And just watch the moon and absorb the moon. So there's all of these ways and different ways and paths to intimacy with the divine, but there's also the receiving part. So that was all the sending part, the sending message part. There's the receiving part. Meditation. Listening. Being disciplined with that. In the same way that we need to be disciplined in our intimacy with each other and to be vigilant with that and to not take each other for granted, in the same way not to take for granted the divine and the intimacy and the relationship with the divine. So there's so many times where I'm a mess up here. Trying to plan my life, do my thing, do my work, do my ministry, I have a plan, I have a plan, I have a plan, because I'm so good at it. But then there's another plan that I'm not listening to. I have to get still to do that. The great master Jesus said, be still. He just said that, he's like 2 words, you know. Be still. Stop. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're planning. We're We're human doings, we're not human beings. Do, we're not being. So be still. And the second part of what he said was, and know that I am God. So be still and know that I am not this body. Really not. And all of its material things. Be still and know that I am the divine. I'm here. And so, lastly, what I want to just say is that I have a ritual. I try to have a ritual anyway, of a lighting of a candle, burning of incense, if you can tolerate the smell of incense. Some people can't. Some people are allergic and some people have asthma. But there's liquid smudge, which works too. Whatever it is that works for you. I'm tactile, so I like to touch things, feel things, burn things. I like that. I like drama, theater, performance. You know, I like that kind of stuff. So I need that. It's just small-minded. But anyway, whatever your ritual is, I want to invite you and encourage you, and I want to encourage me, and I want to remind me how important it is to seek intimacy with the divine, how important it is to be vigilant, to be disciplined, to pay attention, to not get distracted, to really enter into communication with all that is, and to do that in whatever works for you, whether it be lighting a candle, burning incense, listening to a meditation tape, doing formal prayer, whatever it is, but do something every day. Some people live prayer. They're living prayer. So they don't have a certain time during